8:02 Central African time. Hello, Sunny Bonani. Good evening. Welcome to the Silverstone Circuit for the British Grand Prix. It's the 10th race of the BrakeAway Racing League's All-Star season. And as you can currently see, a 15-driver contingent. I have it on good authority that Caboza may yet make an appearance before too long. So we could see a 16-driver contingent fight their way out, make their presence felt in this 10th showcase of the All-Star BrakeAway Racing League season. Thank you for making BrakeAway Racing League your league of choice here tonight. If you've just joined us, please remember to subscribe to our channel, like the stream. Sir Lancelot, one of the early risers, one of the first to join the comment section. As always, it's great to have you on board. It would have been great to see you racing, Sir Lancelot. And Quali in the Kick Sauber is here making their presence felt. It seems, once again, to be a full house as far as the representation at Scuderia Ferrari is concerned. Tiago Maestro is in the lobby. Tiago Maestro is in the comment section. Loveness is here to make their mark for Aston Martin alongside M. Fundo. And would you look at that, the Alpines of Tindo and Man Ray, the veteran drivers, also in the lobby. Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, possibly Debo Cayman, is also here. And a word on Debo Crocodile, having a very, very good and consistent season. Only the one race in Australia where Debo Crocodile failed to pick up points. So how's that for an indication of just how much quality Debo Crocodile has shown since the beginning of this All-Star season? We will have 9 laps in this sprint race, followed by 26 laps in our feature race following thereafter. So, yeah, I do believe it might yet be a reverse grid order, reverse championship order, which sets the starting grid for this sprint race. And as things currently stand, towards the bottom of the standings are the likes of Nuccio, Sandler, Mizanzi, Tindo, and Quali, Sir Lancelot, the 86er. Those kind of drivers will be towards the start of the sprint race. And then Marshy is currently 14th in the standings. Man Ray is 13th. Fente is 12th. And Fundo is 11th. Billy Hendricks is 10th. So those, theoretically, would be your top 10 drivers. But, of course, not all those drivers are represented here tonight. Tiago Zotal, Donovan Laka, and then Caboza, Debo Crocodile, Loveness, Sigfig, Duke is second, and Mex leads the championship standings. It's been an almighty fight between Mex and definitely Duke, or Duke Takar, in this season. So let's see just how well they will fare once the lights go out. Just 7 seconds. And then we'll get a sense of just how ready or not these drivers are. Welcome to Silverstone. Welcome to the sprint race. It's the 10th race week, and the 86er, a late joiner. So sadly, they will then have to wait and take part in the feature race proper. Galalatsang Kagawathi would have been towards the front of this sprint order, or the front of this sprint contingent, but sadly, 86er is going to have to start the feature race from the back of this grid. Ditto Caboza, it does not seem that they made it into the lobby on time, so we'll just see how they will fare. A view of the pit lane, not too busy, as the final touches are being placed, well, away from the view of the cameras. I tell you what, thank you for making sure that this channel is on your choice of viewing here tonight. It's the 10th race of the season. Let's see what our protagonists have in store for us. It's the iconic Silverstone Circuit. Total of 5.8 kilometers is this circuit. Fast flowing and always serves up some beautifully brilliant racing action. Typical tire compounds around here are the C1, C2, and C3. And it's a kind of circuit where the drivers are at full throttle for about 70% of the track's duration, giving you a sense of just how fast and flowing it is. But here we are. Beautiful shot of our drivers. It's 5 lights. It's the only time South Africans look forward to the lights going out. And we are racing in the UK. In Silverstone, here we go. It's the Nucho and Tindo leading us off over here as we get going. A couple of drivers have gone off completely. Tindo is still hanging on to the front there. It's Debo Crocodile and Zotal tumbling down the order, and Zotal gets a time penalty for corner cutting. Oh, it's pandemonium in the midfield. One of the Ferraris seems to have had a huge moment as Zotal is really struggling towards the back of the pack. Nucho, Tindo hanging on to those top spots. Look at Inquali trying to stay in touch with Marshy, who is going for it now into this left-hander, but try as he might, not quite close enough to get it done. And the Nucho is trying to gallop away from this throng of drivers. Ooh, contact between Thiago and Inquali, and here comes Debo Crocodile towards the back of the McLaren now. Side by side goes Thiago and Inquali. Thiago's on the inside, but here come a couple more drivers. Debo Crocodile and Jonathan Lacka looking to put the kick salver under pressure, and Quali goes off track. Thiago goes through. Here comes Debo Crocodile now in the midfield, and he's going to be chased very, very closely by the likes of Jonathan Lacka and Loveness, who's looking to stake their claim on these top spots. It is all off and cracking in this first lap, and here they come now, screaming after the fast sequence of corners as they head towards the Stowe corner. Oh, who was that? It's Loveness who went careening off the track. And sadly, well, it's not completely terminal, thankfully for him. But back towards the front, it's the Nucho who's going to cross the line, still in the lead at the beginning of the second lap of this sprint race. Behind them is Man Ray and Tindo. An unchanged top three. Marshy still huffing and puffing, trying to do something versus Tindo. That's a sense of just how things have unfolded. And Quali, the biggest loser alongside the likes of Infundo, both those drivers having lost 6 positions. Duke has had to come into the pits, so they were then presumably one of the drivers who took heavy damage at the beginning of the sprint race. We saw a couple of drivers go off, of course, in the early corners. Oh, Tindo's trying to close the gap. Marshy's trying to squeeze through the inside here, but Tindo finally leaves a little bit of racing room. They're side by side now through Cop's corner, but Tindo hangs on by the skin of his teeth. And I'll tell you what, Tindo was second, has just lost 1 place, and Man Ray is trying to catch up to the galloping Nucho, who has been unchallenged since the start of this race. Thiago in the midfield trying to keep Debo Crocodile and Jonathan Lacka at bay. It's easier said than done. Here comes Debo Crocodile now on the outside of Thiago Maestro. They try not to make a little bit of contact. It is side by side. They did make contact. Thiago loses out on that one. Debo Crocodile is still breathing, is still now in a point of advantage. They moved all the way up to P5, and Debo is within touching distance of Marshy, and we have ourselves a huge fight. It looks like a 6-way battle for ostensibly that P3 spot. It's going to be one to watch as this sprint race unfolds. This is the vantage point from Zotal all the way down in P7. Look at that. Drivers trying to take a different line. So as to gain a semblance of an advantage, Zotal loses a little bit of ground, so we're going to hop on over instead to Jonathan Lacka. Currently P6. In front of him, of course, is a huge fight as these drivers look for the slightest of an advantage to possibly take advantage. Oh, side by side, and it looks like Tindo is going to try to stay out of the clutches of Marshy, but try as he might, Marshy finally gets that move done. Tindo has to concede that P3 spot. Marshy side by side through Cops, it's contact. Tindo comes off second best, but Tindo thankfully does not completely lose a car. Marshy had his heart in his mouth over there, and Debo Crocodile has gone through now for that P4 spot, courtesy of Tindo's moment there with Marshy. Breathless stuff in this sprint race. Contact, spins, pandemonium. Here comes Debo Crocodile, now gaining a total of 8 positions as Debo makes it to P3. Having started all the way down the grid, it is Debo in an absolutely furious mood as Duke has sadly lost connection to this lobby. Hopefully they can regain their place before they start in the feature race proper. I tell you what, it is not over. Let's take a look at some of the other details of the tire choice with just 9 laps of racing. Debo's choice to race on the soft compound has paid dividends, to put it mildly. It was really raced up gaining 8 positions since the start of this race. But as Debo has fought their way up and through, he is now within a second of the P2 running Man Ray. And a moment of appreciation for Nucho again, having galloped out of the clutches of all of these guys. Oh, Donovan Laka is through on Marshy. And will it be ditto for Zotal on their teammate? Zotal goes off the track. Then we're side by side, and Zotal is through on their teammates. Marshy being left in the dust as Zotal, despite that time penalty for corner cutting, is making extreme headway as they come through Maggots and Beckett's now. It's ostensibly the second half of this sprint race showcase, and Zotal has done very, very well. But ahead of Zotal, it's Donovan Laka who snatches the P3 spot from Debo Crocodile. Look at that, Debo having used up so much of his battery power. Look at that yellow bar down to the bottom indicating the remaining ERS. Through the Vale chicane they go. And into the final corner, that being Club Corner, Debo Crocodile now trying to keep Zotal at bay. Those soft tires, which were really, really good at the start, now, of course, needing a little bit of nursing, perhaps, as far as Debo is concerned. I'll tell you what, Zotal and Marshy are not going to make the life of the Red Bull easy at all. Donovan Laka has caught up to the back of Man Ray, meanwhile, and as they make their way down the straight, the Williams superstar is going to go side by side on the inside of Man Ray, who is going to fight it and hang it on the outside, but through the braking zones, Donovan Laka wrestles free of Man Ray. Now up to P2. Is 4 laps going to be enough for Donovan Laka to find their way up to P1? Time will tell. Lemmy Seaway is in the comment section lamenting the prospects of Billy Hendricks. I'll tell you what, Billy is under immense pressure from one Thiago Maestro. Thiago, who came off second best after having contact earlier on in this race, is now trying to recover somewhat. Thiago is on the medium compound tires, which at this point of the very shortened sprint race will be in a better condition. Thiago on the outside of Billy Hendricks. Thiago does not make contact this time. Thiago is through on the Ferrari and now up to P7. Billy Hendricks, being Billy Hendricks, is not going to go down without a fight. Oh, heavy on the brakes when Billy Hendricks, plumes of smoke that the tires were kicking up. But Billy Hendricks is going to look to make sure that Thiago does not have the easiest of times throughout the remainder of this showcase. It's a mini DRS train that we have here in the lower midfield. Tindo is in the pit lane. Perhaps he took some wing damage over there. I'll tell you what, speaking of wing damage, look at the front left wing end plate of Billy Hendricks. Took some wing damage, did the Ferrari, which perhaps explains why he is mired in the midfield as things currently stand. Work to do for Billy Hendricks at this particular point in time. Meanwhile, their teammate, Sage Figure of Speech, down in P11 and trying to have some sort of say versus Mfundo, who's currently running in P10. Loveness is down in P12. We saw an unfortunate moment involving them a little bit earlier on. In Quali started this race among the protagonists, of course, in the lead with the reverse grid order relative to the championship, now down all the way in P13. Now back to the battle for the potential podium places. It's Zotal versus Debo Crocodile. Exiting Maggots and Beckett's. Now trying to have a say versus Debo Crocodile. Close, but not quite close enough. Behind them, it's Mex, who's making a little bit of headway. Mex on the inside of the Ferrari, almost making contact there. But Billy Hendricks slams the door shut. On board we go with Mex, who's fighting for the life as far as the championship is concerned. On the inside, oh, it's contact. Who is that? Looks like Thiago Maestro had another moment, but Mex snakes his way past the Ferrari. And here comes the onrushing Mfundo, who's also hoping to take advantage. Will they make it 3 wide? No, not quite. Mfundo is close enough. Oh, Billy Hendricks sneaks past Mex over there. And now they're going to go into the braking zone through the zone right-hander. Oh, Mfundo goes careening into the back of Mex, and they both go spinning, and Mfundo comes off second best, out-braking themselves straight into the back of Mex, and Mfundo now has to contend with fighting all the way down from P13. Pandemonium in the final couple of laps of this sprint race, and I'll tell you what, Loveness will not best be pleased with that. Neither will Mex, who now has to recover and now fight their way past the Ferrari duo of Sage Figure of Speech and Billy Hendricks. Easier said than done. Lap number 7 of 9 of this sprint race. It is Mex trying to recover. Max now screaming down this short straight towards Cop's corner, and Billy Hendricks, who is ahead of Stitch Figure of Speech, has that compromised front wing. But what about Stitch Figure of Speech? Can he handle Max through Maggots and Beckets? They go snaking and slaloming through these fast corners. It looks like Max is the more confident of the two drivers relative to the Ferrari ahead. Max looking to give everything he's got down this huge, long burst towards Stowe corner. He tries, he's got DRS, but he's not quite close enough to get that move done. The Ferrari's working in tandem as Max looks to have a say. Max is going to go on the outside into the Vale chicane. Not close enough. Oh, Thiago again has a huge spin and tumbles down the order again. Let's catch back up with Max, who's going to try to stay within the clutches of the two Ferraris, but it is easier said than done. Working in tandem, as Gonzi in the comment section that these men are fighting for their lives. And Fundo sadly has had to come into the pits. We saw that huge moment where Enfundo went careening into the back of their competitor, and sadly Enfundo is going to have a wing change. No, it looks like a set of new soft compound tires. Meanwhile, a word of appreciation, a word of applause, a word of kudos to the Nucho, who has been unchallenged, unbowed, unbent, unbroken at the front of this sprint race pack. Beautifully done, beautifully controlled by the experienced Nucho, whose championship prospects this season have not been great. That's why he started this reverse grid sprint order towards the front of the proceedings. Since the start of the season, Nucho has found themselves bottom of the standings. 0 championship points before today. But I'll tell you what, he's about to complete the sprint race, which will add 8 championship points to their tally. The first 8 points of the season in this race number 10. Nucho, of course, has missed a lot of races, which has accounted for their position in the standings. Now, Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, possibly Debo Cayman, is now sending it into the Vale chicane. It's Debo Crocodile versus Zotal. How's that for a rhyme? Through Club Corner they go. Now, down the start straight. The Hamilton Straight, I believe it is called, into turn number 1. It's flat out for the Red Bull versus the half in the hands of Zotal. It is the final lap of the sprint race. Can Zotal hang on to claim the podium place at the end of this sprint race? Debo Crocodile has been nothing short of sensational, gaining 8 places since the start of this sprint race, all the way from the back of the pack to P4, but Debo, being Debo, has saved up their battery power. Look at that yellow bar at the bottom of the steering wheel, indicating just how much battery power is remaining. He has saved it all up to make an almighty push towards Zotal, but as I say that, that hat in the hands of Zotal stretches its legs down towards Cop's corner. So Zotal trying to create a gap, trying to create some breathing room before Debo can strike. Zotal has that time penalty to contend with, but this being BrakeAway, of course, he wants to get that move, or rather wants to get the P3 spot on track, even if penalties will come into play. Debo still in the hunt in that run towards Stowe corner. Oh, Debo on the inside. Zotal tries to give it a little bit of room. They're going to make a little bit of contact. No, they don't. It's respectful but hard racing between these two. And here comes Zotal now. And the Nucho has won the sprint race. Donathan Lacka finishes in P2. Oh no, who's that spinning towards the end? It's Debo Crocodile, who had a huge spin before the line. And Man Ray finishes on the podium places. How about that? Zotal finishes P4 thanks to that penalty. Marshy makes it a 4-5 for Team Hat. Sage Figure of Speech and Billy Hendricks are running line astern, P6 and 7. Mex finishes P8. Debo Crocodile P9. Loveness 10th. Thiago 11th. And Quali will finish the sprint race in P12. And Mfundo, whose race was mired in controversy with those incidents of contact, will come home on P13. Tindo 14th, having started this race all the way towards the front. Sadly for them, not a great day. Hopefully Duke has made it back into the lobby. It's going to be a P15 finish for the flying man from Abuja, Nigeria. Scary Owl, says Thiago Maestro. It is a sprint race filled with a lot of drama, I'll tell you that. Perhaps not so scary hours when the race proper gets started. I could barely catch my breath. It's been quite the showpiece. Sir Lancelot says Sauber is in the mud. Sauber needs you. Kick Sauber needs Sir Lancelot to be represented. There it is, folks. 8 points in the sprint race because the Lucho did it. Started at the front, finished at the front. A light to flag victory for the Mercedes Superstar. 8 points goes their way in the championships. Donovan Lacka started in 7th and finishes with 7 points. Man Ray, I beg your pardon. Donovan Lacka gained 7 points. Man Ray will earn 6 points. 5 for Zotal. Marshy finishes in 5th place. 6 figure speech. Billy Hendricks and Mex, the drivers, also claiming points there. Man Ray laments Debo Crocodile. That moment of contact costing Debo Crocodile what would have been a valuable podium. 0 points in the sprint for Debo Crocodile, sadly. Well, how about that? We will now be moving on to the feature showcase here in Great Britain. Thank you for choosing BrakeAway Racing League. This is race week number 10. Welcome to Silverstone, the British Grand Prix. Welcome to this also entertaining season. Hopefully Duke has made it back. As Man Ray says, hey, you lost grip, could not keep it on that tarmac. So a little bit of disagreement there between Man Ray, Debo Crocodile. You could not move, says Man Ray. Sage Fig seemingly has left the session. I'm going to keep this stream going. Do wonder, of course, if... yeah, it seems we might just be switching over to a brand new lobby, but we'll stay live with you here, folks, as we're about to get the feature race underway, and hopefully the likes of Caboza, the likes of Duke, will be able to join the fray. We'll be moving on over to a brand new lobby, but yeah. Please stay tuned, folks. It's great to have all of you in the comment section, and thank you for watching with us this week. Story of the season has been Mex and Duke as far as the championship standings are concerned. Just 2 points separating the leaders of this championship. Mex has 152 points, well, before the start of this race, and Duke had 150 points before the start of this race. So it is very, very tight at the top of the championship standings. Yeah, we'll soon be switching on over to another lobby here, folks. But stay tuned. The feature race will be coming up shortly. Well, here we are, folks, in the brand new lobby. It is my understanding that the finishing order of the sprint race will determine the starting order of the feature race. We will have 29 laps around the Silverstone Circuit, the iconic Silverstone Circuit, the British Grand Prix. We had 15 contenders for the sprint race. Hopefully, we will have 17 if Caboza can make it. The 86er was on hand, but sadly joined a little bit too late to take part in the sprint race. So hopefully, the 86er will be on hand to feature in the feature race. Yes, you've just joined us. We are switching over to a brand new lobby to begin the feature race in Britain, the 10th showcase of this BrakeAway Racing League All-Star season. Now, as we wait for this lobby to fill up, of course, yeah, we're out in Great Britain, 26 lap. We shall have around this 5.8 kilometer or 3.6 mile circuit. The pole position is on the left-hand side of the track as they make that short burst towards turn number 1. The distance from the grid towards turn 1 is just 296 meters. And as we mentioned earlier, the drivers are on full throttle for about 70% of this very, very fast lap. I beg your pardon, this is a very, very fast circuit. Now, the average time lost during a pit stop around here is about 21 seconds, and the typical tire compounds are C1, C2, and C3. So along the harder side of the compounds, looking forward to another entertaining race. The sprint race gave us a lot of entertainment, and yeah, the feature race should certainly be along those lines. Perhaps a safety car or two. Time will tell, depending on how much patience these drivers are set to give one another. Debo versus Manrate and Mfundo versus a couple of other drivers in the sprint race was one to watch. Hopefully, no more moments of contact or mishaps impacting the race. And let's see what the likes of Billy Hendricks can do without any wing damage. Billy, of course, has had a decent season, all things considered. 46 total points before the start of tonight's action. Billy was 10th in the standings. Their teammate, Sage Figure of Speech, has been among the standout performers, one of only 3 drivers this year, that being Sage Figure of Speech, in the triple digits. 101 points for Sage Figure before the start of tonight's proceedings. Only Mex and Duke, who have 152 and 150 points, respectively, are ahead of Sage Figure of Speech. So beautifully done as far as they're concerned. Sage Fig has 3 podiums since the start of the season. So it's been beautifully done by them. And Loveness is another one whose prospects this season have been very, very good. 86 points Loveness had before the start of tonight's proceedings. Has a total of 4 podium finishes, does Loveness, including, of course, that race win in Brazil. What a season by Tato. Loveness, one of the more experienced campaigners in this field, having been with the BrakeAway Racing League fraternity pretty much since inception. At this particular point, waiting for the final few to join the fray, 86er made it. Where, oh where is Marshy? Marshy and Duke, the two drivers that are missing from this current field. There it is. Marshy made it. Now, what about Duke? Can they make it into the lobby? If not, folks, it might just be a race without one of the championship protagonists. Mex is flashing their readiness into the lobby. Mex just want to get on with it. I'll tell you what, if Duke is not here, that is a very, very good news for Mex, who has been put under all the pressure, under all the duress, under all of the heat from the likes of Duke. So it seems Thiago Maestro will be flying the flag for Team McLaren. So there's no Duke. Who are your picks for possible race winners? It's not going to be plain sailing for Mex. Remember, the Nuccio got the job done. And an experienced campaigner starting towards the front of the feature race. Can Nuccio hang on here for a brilliantly composed performance in the feature race? Or do you reckon that the likes of Donathan Laka might have too much for the Nuccio? Let me know in the comment section. Mex versus Billy Hendricks, says Sir Lancelot in the comment section. I'll tell you what, that'll be definitely interesting if it does take place. As a feisty battle. Sadly, it seems that Duke might not be able to make it on time, so we're just waiting now to get going properly. Gonsi says, Team Mfundo until the wheels fall off. Mfundo has got a couple of cheerleaders in the comment section. It's fantastic to have you along for the showcase. Fingers crossed, Mfundo has a great one. I know somewhere in South Africa, Nintendo Wii is cheering along Mex Moteo Mekwa. Let's see whether or not those cheers can turn into some good momentum, some good vibes, and a strong performance by the Aston Martin superstar. Mfundo is here and ready. Hopefully no incidents and no damage is taken to that beautiful metallic green machine. Mfundo, another experienced campaigner as far as the BrakeAway Racing League is concerned. Currently 11th in the standings was Mfundo before the start of tonight's proceedings with 37 points. Finished on the podium back in Australia, did Mfundo. So we know what they're capable of. By the way, major congratulations to Mfundo, who recently celebrated a fantastic qualification as far as their career outside of the driver's seat is concerned. Has been working very, very hard for a very long time, has Mfundo, and that hard work paying off in the way of some beautiful progression and, of course, some hard-earned qualifications. Mfundo, skilled in many respects as the countdown has begun to the lights going out. Godse is cheering on Mfundo in the comment section. Will that translate to something fantastic when the checkered flag is waved? Welcome to Silverstone. Welcome to Great Britain. Welcome to the 10th showcase of the BrakeAway Racing League All-Stars season. We will be racing in a minute. Here we are, folks, less than 30 seconds to go. Well, there it is, a view of the garages as they put the final touches on those cars before we go racing. But before we do, a quick word from our sponsors.
Winter is hard on the whole family, and of course we all get cold. But that's why I trust i-Aquascremio Coco Butter, making sure that me and my family stay moisturized throughout the winter. Ngiyayithanda i-aquas cream.
I-Aquascremio Coco Butter. Xubisa manje, xubisela njalo. Quick, get the Postol. I-Postol sokuyakudala inceda amafemili ukuze noma nikhwehlela ingenza sure ukuthi anirasile abanye abantu. Postol, making sure that your family keeps a little bit quiet when the cough hits you. Introducing MedLemon, making sure that the colds and flu are kept at bay. Make sure that you have MedLemon with a dash of honey to make sure that all your families aren't making other kids sick at school.
Ay, man, púzala!
I-MedLemon, phuza lento yekela ukusikhwehlelela.
Winter is, of course, very taxing on the family in more ways than one. That's why I make sure that ipapa is a staple in the home, making sure that even though it's cold outside, well, we're not going to go hungry.
Ipapa, saving South African generations for about 4,000 years. Well, thank you. That was a word from our sponsor. We're back. We should be racing in a couple of seconds here, folks. And we're in Silverstone for this beautiful showcase of BrakeAway Racing League action. It is 4 lights. It is 5 lights. It is the only time South Africans look forward to the light going out. It is Nucho in the lead. And let's see what he can do. Oh, huge crash in the background. Who is that? It's Tindo in the 86er. But the Nucho has been passed by Man Ray, who went screaming into the lead of this race. And the Nucho has to contend with P2. Make that a huge moment at the beginning here. These tire smokes. Oh, these tires, the plumes of tire smoke are just screaming over here, and looks like Zotal is fighting for his life. It's Man Ray who went for an audacious overtake for the lead of this race. Beautifully done by Man Ray. But here comes the Aston Martin of Loveness, who is currently in P5, having gained 2 spots since the start of proceedings. Into the midfield we go. Marshy has lost a position. Meanwhile, don't sleep on the Nucho's fight back. The Nucho on the outside reclaims the lead. They bang wheels. Into Cup's corner they go. And Man Ray gives a little bit of room. But here comes Jonathan Lacka in the middle of the 3-way fight for the lead of this race. And behind them comes Zotal screaming down into Maggotts and Beckett. It is Jonathan Lacka, less than 0.3 of a second behind Man Ray. Here they come now, down the straight. No DRS, this is the opening lap of the race. It's a 3-way fight for the lead into Stowe corner. Look at Loveness on the inside of Zotal, close but no cigar. It looks like Man Ray has reclaimed the race lead. And this is racing, says Kid K, with Man Ray putting on a clinic of opening lap performances over here. Jonathan Lacka within touching distance of the race lead. The Spectre of Zotal keeping the Williams superstar under pressure. It's Man Ray from Nucho, from Jonathan Lacka from Zotal. But here comes Loveness on the back of the Haas and looking to put that experienced Zotal under all the pressure. Plumes of tire smoke are screaming now through the initial couple of corners, but they run in formation as it's a DRS train from P1 all the way down to P11, that being Mfundo. It's the Nucho on the inside. Will they make contact? Oh, the Nucho did. He came off second best and now down to P4. Jonathan Lacka now fighting for the lead. Look at Loveness on the inside of 2 cars, and Loveness is now up to the podium places, gaining 4 places since the start of this race. It's an absolute clinic of overtaking from the Aston Martin superstar, who has consigned Zotal to that P4 spot without much movement. It's been a breathless start since the beginning of this showcase. And let's catch up now with the likes of Billy Hendricks, who has gained 2 places since the start of this race. Their teammate, Sage Figure of Speech, languishing in P8. having lost a couple of positions. Look at how tight it is. Sage Figure of Speech versus Marshy. Sage Fig on the inside, but Marshy had too much speed on the outside of Stowe Corner. Beautifully done by the half superstar. Mex is still in P9, having not gained much leeway, not gained much momentum. Oh, it's a three-way fight through Club Corner. Marshy comes off third best over there as the two Ferraris are in tandem. Marshy is fighting back. Marshy on the inside towards the first corner. Will they make contact? No! And Sage Figure of Speech manages to stay ahead of the Haas. It is breathless action at the beginning of this race. Absolutely sensational stuff. Man Ray leads in Silverstone. Man Ray leads the race out here in Britain. Everybody in formation. Jonathan Lacka on the attack on the outside, but Man Ray slams the door shut in towards the left-hander. Oh, what a performance by Man Ray, who has languished towards the bottom of the championship standings for the majority of this season, but he is defending like a lion, says Kid K in the comment section. Oh, beautifully done. But Jonathan Lacka, being Jonathan Lacka, will not go down without a fight. It's Wednesday action night. Just 3 laps of action over here, and I can barely catch my breath. Jonathan Lacka takes a lot of curb through Magnussen Beckett's Man Ray, trying to keep that car as wide as possible. Jonathan Lacka opens up that rear wing to get a couple of extra kilometers per hour down the straight. It's Jonathan Lacka on the inside before Stowe. Man Ray carries, oh no, contact! Man Ray didn't even have room, but Jonathan Lacka managed to catch it, but he loses ground. Loveness is now in P2. Jonathan Lacka tumbling down the order. Those tires are screaming. And will Man Ray get into trouble for not exactly leaving enough room? Time will tell. Man Ray leaving nothing to chance. Billy Hendricks is the fastest man on track, but the man leading proceedings is Man Ray. Lap number 4, absolutely fierce stuff from Man Ray in this fourth lap of a total 26. Loveness is now the main protagonist, fighting for the possible lead of this race. Can he hang on, that being Tato, aka Loveness? Let's catch up now towards the lower midfield. It is Mfundo languishing down in P9, trying to hang on to the coattails of Marshy. Behind Mfundo is Jonathan Lacka, who sadly tumbled all the way down to that P10 spot. So Jonathan Lacka now trying to hang on for dear life as far as the points positions are concerned. Jonathan Lacka will be seething, fuming, knowing, and of course thinking about what could have been. Meanwhile, someone who has their eyes firmly fixed on an overtake after Magnussen Beckett's is Mfundo. It looks like Marshy's taking a different line, went slightly wide to one of the corners, did Marshy. Mfundo, golden opportunity. Mfundo has DRS. Mfundo takes it on the outside before they get to Stowe Corner. And there we are. Mfundo gets the overtake done, now up to P8 as they head towards the Vale chicane. Speaking of, oh, look at that. Mex versus Sage Figure of Speech. Mex on the outside. Sage Fig making sure that the RB driver takes a long way around. It's going to be a 3-way fight. And Mfundo joins the fray on the inside, but not close enough. Oh, Mex versus Sage Figure of Speech. Look at the hard but respectful racing between these two superstars. Sensational stuff. Oh, Mex and Mfundo behind, and Marshy will they make a little bit of contact. Look at that. Marshy has the inside line through the lower corner, and Mfundo still P8. And Mfundo side by side, trying to keep Marshy at bay. This is the vantage point from Marshy. Mfundo's red light is flashing, trying to harvest a little bit of battery power. Marshy making life difficult for the Aston Martin superstar in the midfield. Jonathan Lacka trying to make both their lives difficult. Of course, before we get too ahead of ourselves, beautifully entertaining showpiece. Meanwhile, at the sharp end of the grid, folks, Loveness has claimed the lead from Man Ray, who is now down to P3, courtesy of Zotal having taken that P2 spot. But look at that. Loveness has a damaged front left wing end plate, so it looks like he might not stay in the lead for long. Here comes Zotal on the inside now of Loveness, and we have a new race leader. It's the Haas superstar of Zotal into the lead on those medium compound tires. Remember, the softer tires have the most grip. They are the fastest tire, but they do degrade fastest of all the compounds, of course. So at this particular point, having pushed so hard, the likes of Loveness, Billy Hendricks, Sage Figure of Speech, it is only 6 laps in, but but those soft tires will be the first to lose their efficacy in this race. Zotal started on the mediums. Zotal is now in the lead of this race and has this race in firm command and control after 6 laps elapsed in this British Grand Prix. Woo! Breathless action, I tell you. The Ferrari duo, Silverstone Circuit and Billy Hendricks, have shown just how well they can work in tandem. As you get this beautiful overhead helicopter shot, you can get a sense of the DRS train from P1 all the way down to P10 running Jonathan Lacka. Beautiful action out here in Silverstone. As you can see, Loveness with that damaged wing went slightly offline through Copse. Here they come now through Maggots and Beckett's. Looks like Manry is still feeling comfortable. Manry, had to take some evasive action as Loveness lost his bearings. And here comes Billy Hendricks now versus Manry versus Loveness. It's a 3-way fight into Stoke Corner. Oh no! The Ferrari goes off track. Manry goes up to P2. And Billy Hendricks comes off second best. And Loveness concedes and finally comes into the pits. And Manray has leaped up to P2. Loveness comes into the pits. Will it be a wing change for the Aston Martin superstar, whose teammate now gets promoted up to P7, that being Mfundo, of course, and Zotal versus Manray is a battle that will resume at this particular point, but perhaps I spoke too soon, because Sage Figure of Speech is giving Manray all of the headaches, and Sage Fig looked much more comfortable relative to Manray there through those slower initial couple of corners. Manray, red light flashing on the back of the Alpine, harvesting some power. As you can see, the yellow bar at the bottom of Sage Fig's steering wheel means that the Ferrari has saved up a lot of its energy and will soon go on the attack to apply maximum pressure, maximum duress, maximum heat on Manray and perhaps banish them, relinquish them, or rather relegate them, if you will, down to P3 or worse. Here we go. It's Sage Fig versus Manray through Maggots and Beckett's. Behind them, of course, Mex is fighting versus the Nucho, who began this race in the lead. Sage Fig not quite close enough to go for it, but this will be a golden opportunity. Will Sage Fig drag their teammate through? Sage Fig on the inside. Sage Fig with the overtake. Sage Fig up to P2. And here comes the other Ferrari. That being Billy Hendricks will go. Trying to go for it, but not quite getting that done. Mex overtook Mfundo down in that P5 spot. Let's see how much they can get done. Sage Fig currently the fastest driver on track. Now up to P2. Mex has a golden opportunity here to snatch as many points as they possibly can, considering Duke is not taking place in this race week. Mfundo hanging on for dear life to the coattails of Moteo Mekwa, aka Mex, featured on somewhere in South Africa by Nintendo Wii. Mfundo used up so much, pretty much all of his battery power in this battle to be currently in this P6 spot, fighting for their life is Mfundo. 8 laps in, Aston Martin superstar is trying, of course, to keep the likes of Nucho and Marshy at bay. Speaking of, Marshy, whose teammate is in the lofty position of race leader, is now trying to overtake the former race leader, the pole position sitter, the Nucho. And on the exit of Chapel, side by side goes Marshy, and up to P7 goes Marshy. Let's take a look now at the lower midfield. Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, down in P9. Lonely race for them. 3.5 seconds behind the likes of the Nucho. Looks like Billy Hendricks has come into the pits. Meanwhile, Sage Fig still the fastest person on track. In Quali, running in P10. In the points position is in Quali. Thiago Maestro down in P11 on those hard tires. The 86er languishing down to P12. Donovan Lacka still thieving, reeling, has recently come into the pits. Currently running P13. Donovan Lacka, we saw what sort of progress they made earlier on. They'll be hoping at least for a safety car to bring them back into contention. But of course, we still have to see the main protagonists come into the pits. This is Jonathan Laka. Will they overtake Billy Hendricks? The answer is yes. Billy Hendricks, having just come out of the pits, comes out behind Jonathan Laka. Loveness took that early damage to the wing, which meant that their pit stop, a regular pit stop around here, you lose 21 seconds, but with that wing change that Loveness had to take, of course, losing much more time. So Loveness, another person that will be hoping for a safety car before all is said and done. Sage Figure of Speech has clawed their way up this pack and finds themselves now in contention for the race win. It is Sage Figure of Speech versus Zotal versus Man Ray, who has fallen behind the leading pack, well, the leading pair by a factor of about 2.5 seconds. Work to do for Man Ray. Unforced error Zotal before the final corner sends it spinning off the track. Zotal, unforced error, spinning.
Zotel وخلي الكوشات راسه هاي سبينا مرة زوتل بقوين لو وسبينا زوتين
Zotal spinning off the track and completely throwing away the race win. Seething, reeling is Zotal, now down to P7. Nightmare scenario for the Haas superstar. Meanwhile, Mateo Mekwa is in touching distance of a podium place. M. Fundo currently running P3. Remember, a decent contingent of the drivers have already pitted. So time will tell whether or not the likes of Man Ray and Fundo Mex will be in contention for the race win before all is said and done. M. Fundo on those aging soft tires, 9 laps old, versus the mediums in the hands of Man Ray and, of course, the Mex, who we're on board with. This is a vantage point from the superstar Mex, the B-Carb driver whose teammate Caboza could not take part. Down the straight he goes. Sensational speed plus DRS, of course. And Mex makes light work of Mfundo. Now up to P3. What a sensationally entertaining race we've had. Oh, look at that. Zotal and Marshy. Looked like a little bit of a moment there, but Nucho made the way back into the pits. Back to this battle between Mfundo and Mateo Mekwa, aka Mex we go. Gap between these two, less than 0.4 of a second. Mfundo in the fight of his life here. Debo Crocodile recently came into the pits. It's a medium set of tires for them. 11 laps gone. This showcase is, of course, a total of 26 laps. It's a long way to take a set of mediums, but it's not impossible. Of course, some of the other drivers on the more conservative strategies, opting for those hard tires. Of course, that being the likes of Loveness, who came into the pits for the wing change and a set of those hard tires. And through Cops Corner, you really get a sense of just how close to the ground Mfundo's car is running. Less than half a second as they snake their way through the Maggots and Beckett's corners. Mfundo, does he lose a little bit of ground? A tenth or two. Mex has caught up to the back of Man Ray. I'll tell you what, it might yet be Mex versus Sage Figure of Speech before all is said and done. Sage Fig, with a sensational performance up until this point, applied maximum pressure to Zotal, did Sage Figure of Speech, finally concedes, comes into the pits. But the question will be for what tire compound? Ferrari pit team goes to work, and it's brand new mediums for Mateo, I beg your pardon, for Sage Figure of Speech. Marshy also having recently come into the pits. Meanwhile, at the front of the pack, it is now a three-way fight. Man Ray, Mex, and Mfundo. Mex is very, very close to taking the lead of this race. Man Ray, we've seen that he does not play. He leaves nothing to chance when it comes to defending for his life. So we'll hop on board with Mfundo, who has the front row seat to this battle for the lead of this race. Man Ray, Mex, Mfundo for the lead in lap number 12. Here they come now, screaming towards Cop's Corner, and Fundo down towards Gear 7, rides a little bit of the curve as they send it screaming towards Magasin Beckett. Mex is on the back of that gearbox of Man Ray, can smell the fumes coming out of the back of that Alpine can, Mex. And Mex can even feel the beads of sweat streaking out of Man Ray's helmet. So close is the V-Carb Superstar. On the inside goes Mex, and into the lead goes Moteo Mekwa. And Fundo's going to want a piece of the action, a bite of the cherry, a piece of the pie as far as the possible race lead is concerned. But as I say that, and Fundo darts into the pit lane and leaving Man Ray to fight it out with Moteo Mekwa, who has fought his way down from the lower midfield into the control, the command of this race. 13 laps elapsed. Man Ray is very racy around here. Look how comfortable he is, just staying and hanging on the coattails of the race leader. Man Ray on the inside as Mex goes wide. We'll have the outside line through this left-hander, but will Man Ray be close enough to effect a possible overtake as the time penalties start trickling in down in the lower echelons of this race? Man Ray feeling very, very racy. Man Ray in towards the inside, and they make a little bit of contact. Oh, Man Ray with so much confidence, braking as late as he possibly can. Man Ray's on the outside as he goes side by side through this corner, and Man Ray reclaims the lead in this race. Man Ray in red hot form in the Alpine here at the Silverstone Circuit, showing all the experience does Man Ray, with a sensational fight versus Moteo Mekwa, who was no slouch, no mug, no pushover as far as this is concerned. As Kid K says, you know what, Man Ray is so focused today. Oh, Tindo is the first casualty of this race. I wonder if that was in the pit lane, though. Tindo calls time, seemingly. Was that in the pit lane, or was that a terminal end to the chassis? Oh, Mex dives into the pit lane and leaves Man Ray out in the lead of this race. Let's go down to the low midfield now. It is the Nucho versus Tasso, aka Loveness. 14 laps elapsed. The Nucho has DRS, and the Nucho barely has any electrical power. Oh, rides so much curve there through Stowe. And let's see how they break into the Vale chicane. Oh no, the Nucho outbraking themselves there, compromised their line into the initial part of the chicane. Billy Hendrick's fastest lap, 1:30.356. The Focus Man Ray, as Kid K alluded to earlier, is going to have the fight of their life on their hands by the time they come into the pits, because of course the likes of Moteo Mekwa, aka Mex, is going to be very, very close. Interestingly, Mex, with so much racing still to go, bolted on a set of soft tires. Medium to soft strategy is as bold as I've seen them around here. Only on lap 14. Work to do for Mex. Meanwhile, Mfundo is on the coattails of Jonathan Lacka. What can they do? On board now with the Aston Martin Superstar, applying the pressure to the Williams driver. Zotal concedes, finally comes into the pits. Mfundo has used up so much of his battery power, trying to stay on the coattails of the Williams Superstar. Through Stowe they go into the Vale chicane, kicking up some tire smoke. Sig Fig, fastest time of the day, 1:30.278. And Fundo with all of the pressure, oof. And Fundo almost went careening into the back of the Williams there. What a day Mfundo has had. Sprint race with a couple of moments of contact. But this may yet be a beautiful day when all is said and done. All they need to do is just keep it on the black stuff and finish this race. Unforced error, sadly, for Zotal. Another one who at this point in the race opted for a set of soft tires. So taking a leaf out of Mex's playbook. Zotal, Debo Crocodile running P8, P9 currently, but not exactly within DRS touching distance of one another. Zotal is close enough, possibly, to have DRS. Yep. Rear wing is open on the back of Zotal's car. Meanwhile, Mfundo on the inside of Donathan Laka. Mfundo snatches P5 from a Williams Superstar and will look to gallop on ahead. Brand new mediums for Mfundo. Let's see how much that translates to as far as their performance and their fight up this grid is concerned. Mex on those brand new softs set a scorching hot brand new fastest lap. 29.6 is significantly fast than some of the times that we had seen earlier on. Donathan Laka now has to contend with much fresher tires in the fighters around him, and of course significantly more grip. A couple of steps softer. Oh, look at that battle. Billy Hendricks and Zotal side by side. Zotal now up to P7. Billy has to contend with trying to hang on to the coattails of the Haas Superstar in the hands of Zotal. It's a 4-car fight, a DRS battle between Aston Martin, Williams, Haas, and Ferrari. This is the vantage point from Billy Hendricks, who has the front row seats to this fatal four-way with about 10 or so laps remaining into the final stages of this showcase. Very, very close are Mfundo, Donathan Laka, and Zotal. Strangely, Man Ray waited 15 laps. Oh, Donathan Laka on the inside of Mfundo. Will that be a reclaiming of that spot? Mfundo says no, sir, through Stowe Corner, but Donathan Laka will have the inside. Not close enough through the Vale chicane. Billy Hendricks close but no cigar either. Donathan Laka really giving it a huge fight here. But behind him, of course, is Zotal, and Man Ray finally coming out of the pits on those soft tires, but he's lost track position. Down in P9 is Man Ray, so it was not the smartest strategy for Man Ray to stay out as long as they did. But perhaps Man Ray trusts their pace, and perhaps Man Ray has something really special at this particular point in the race. I'll tell you what, Man Ray is 16 seconds behind race leading Thiago Maestro, who has yet to come into the pits. At this point, Thiago started on the hards, banking on a safety car, we could only imagine. It has not yet materialized, so Thiago, that strategy, not quite paying off. This is Billy Hendricks, who has the front row seats to this fatal four-way between Mfundo, Donathan Laka, and Zotal, the other protagonist in that fight. Billy rides the curves. Not quite. Oh, the clearance of light! Donathan Laka sends it into the wall! Donathan Laka is out, bringing out the safety car! It's a huge crash in Silverstone, and the safety car is out, and Thiago Maestro's gamble has paid off! But where is Thiago? The answer is in prime position to take advantage. Oh, Zotal! Another unforced error, speeding in the pit lane. Max opts to keep track position. Thiago grins from ear to ear. Donathan Laka went into the wall, but was that because of contact? Or was it an unforced error that sent Donathan Laka into the wall? Thiago Maestro is in P5, a brand new set of tires for the McLaren Superstar. P5 they are. Donathan Laka leaves the session. Sadly for Donathan Laka there. So they come flooding into the pits here. Billy Hendricks, soft tires for them. Loveness, brand new mediums. Did they run out of softs? Nuccio, brand new softs. And Quali is now making their way into the pits. Tindo was the first to retire from this race. Donathan Laka was second. This is Nquali serving a time penalty They can't touch the car. There was 10 seconds of a time penalty before Inquali fits on a brand set of soft compound tires. Now, behind the safety car, it is Mex in the lead of this race, opting to keep track position on those 4-lap-old medium tires. Debo Crocodile also opted not to come into the pits, opted to keep track position. Watch out for Debo Crocodile in the latter stages of this race. Debo Crocodile, Bongani, and Guenya, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, possibly Debo Cayman, currently running in P2. Man Ray, who has had the race of his life, has looked confident, has looked bullish, has looked absolutely uncompromising as the Alpine superstar, currently in P3. It would be a memorable podium by the veteran Man Ray if he can hang on. But it's we say if for a reason, because behind them is Marshy and then Tiago Maestro, who was all the way down the bottom of this field, finds themselves in P5. Oh, Zotal gets another 10-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flag, having come into the pits once again to Zotal, I think trying to serve that penalty. I think that was Zotal thinking. He was going to serve this time penalty with Zotal. I think the thinking there was serve my time penalty and then come back out of the pits and back into the fray with a brand new set of softs. Zotal. Yeah, he's got those new softs, but then it's another 10-second time penalty for ignoring the yellow flag, it seemed. So when he comes out, I think we should see that indication that Zotal still has a... yeah, there it is. Ignoring yellow flags under the safety car. Zotal just cannot catch a break. He was looking so good with Zotal in the initial stages of this race, but now finds themselves languished, mired at the back of the pack. The 86er Gallo Latsang Kukawaifi, makes acquaintance with the pit wall there on the exit. Really trying to drive himself back into form is Gallo Latsang Kukawaifi, aka the 86er. A very talented creative is the 86er outside the driver's seat. Superstar creative director is this man. Some of the finest work that you see as far as marketing is concerned all throughout Southern Africa is the brainchild of this talented Meister. GT, aka the 86er. Fantastic man, I'll tell you. And really no slouch in the driver's seat when he's on form. Trying to drive himself into form is the 86er as this season unfolds. Now, safety car conditions. Mex is in the lead. Debo Crocodile, P2. Man Ray, P3. Now, this is after the pit stops. Marshy is fourth from Tiago Maestro. Sage Figure of Speech is sixth. And Fundo is 7th, Billy Hendricks is 8th, Loveness, Tato is 9th, Venuccio 10th, Inquali 11th, Zotal 12th, Gallo Latsang Kukawaiki, the 86er, is currently 13th. Hopefully this upcoming lap will be the last one behind the safety car, and then race control would give the word that racing conditions would be back underway. We'd love nothing more than that, I'll tell you that. But at this particular point, love your thoughts on who is winning this race at this particular point in time. Thank you for joining us, folks. If you've just done so, please remember to like the stream if you have not done so already. Subscribe to our channel. BrakeAway Racing League competes every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central African Time. Offense is in the comments section. Great to have you on board. Kid K, of course, has been here alongside the likes of Sir Lancelot. Man Ray made their presence felt. Lemasiwe, Aswell, Gonsi has been supporting M Fundo. Let's see how these final 6 laps will unfold. We would have presumably 6 laps of racing. what'll it be when all is said and done? There it is. Race control has given the word that the safety car is in at the end of this lap. Now, they're bunched up behind the safety car. Moteo Mekwa. Mex will dictate the pace, and Mex will determine when exactly they push it, absolutely, to get racing back underway in earnest. Mex will be the one fighting it off versus Debo Crocodile. Can they catch Debo unawares? They weave to the left and to the right to trying to get some temperature into those tires before they get racing once again. Now into Vale Chicane goes Mex. Will he send it? The answer is yes. There goes Mex, flying through Club Corner, and will it be an undisturbed race lead? Thiago Maestro goes on the attack before turn number 1. The Ferraris are feeling racy, but no overtakes as yet. It does not look like anyone has overshot their corners. And down in P7, Mfundo. Oh, look at that! On the inside, too, goes Billy Hendricks, but Mfundo will have the inside line. They bang wheels through the left-hander. Mfundo hangs on for dear life. It's beautifully done by Mfundo as they run in formation there. It looks like Debo Crocodile has been left by a factor of a second and a half by Mex. Oh, Manray on the inside of Debo Crocodile. Manray goes up to P2 on those brand spanking new soft compound tires. And Manray is feeling absolutely imperious out here in Silverstone. He is looking absolutely sensational. But that gap, which is now building towards 2 seconds, can it be closed up? This is the vantage point as far as Thiago is concerned. Front row seats to the battle for the race lead. Oh, the 86er has crashed out of this race in lap number 21, and the safety car is out again. Wow, wow, wow. Was Zotal also involved in that moment between the 86er? Perhaps. He's so far behind everybody. And Quali ignores yellow flags, gets a drive-through penalty for ignoring yellow flags. No, it was a drive-through penalty, not a 10-second penalty that Zotal had earlier on. Safety car once again. I would have hoped that we might not have seen the safety car, considering how close we were to finishing this race. I'll tell you what, Mex will be glad that he gets to save those tires. Man Ray versus Debo Crocodile. What a sensational move that was by Man Ray, by the way. On Debo Crocodile, distant cousin of Debo Alligator, possibly Debo Cayman. Thiago Maestro gained that one position. Was 5th, is now 4th. Marshy, on those 10-lap old mediums, is going to have the fight of their life on their hands from the onrushing sage figure of speech, Mfundo, as well as Billy Hendricks. So, the latest safety car, it's Mex from Man Ray, from Debo, from Thiago in 4th. Marshy is 5th, Sage Figure is 6th, Mfundo currently 7th, Billy Hendricks is 8th, Loveness Tato is 9th. Well, do not discount Loveness, I'll tell you, as far as putting on a fight before all is said and done. Oof, the Nucho are breaking themselves. They're currently 10th, Zotal 11th, and Quali is 12th. Hopefully just one more lap behind the safety car. And then back to the action. I, for one, cannot wait. Well, here we are, folks. Just 3 laps of racing, hopefully. After a first half of the race with pretty much no safety cars, it seems we will have a grandstand finish behind the safety car. Well, not exactly crossing the line behind the safety car, but certainly a grandstand finish behind the safety car, leading to some all-out action when the race resumes. But when, oh when, will that be? Here we go again, folks. Max will dictate the pace. They will all bunch up behind him. Man Ray has looked probably one of the most raciest contenders out here today. Can Man Ray claim a memorable race win, or will podium pretty much be it? Max is weaving left and right, trying to get some temperature into those tires. What will Man Ray have to say? Here they come now towards the Vale chicane. Man Ray is braced. He is poised. He is absolutely ready. Or is he? Max is finally sending it through Club They Go. Here come the competitors. And on the attack goes Thiago and Devo Crocodile in towards turn number 1. Close but no cigar as Max keeps it out of the clutches of Man Ray. That's as far as the race lead is concerned. Meanwhile, towards the back, the Ferraris. The Ferrari of Sitch Figure of Speech is fighting versus the likes of Enfundo and Marshy. But how close? It's 3 wide! Oh no! Sitch Fig comes off second best and goes tumbling down the order. Made contact, but Enfundo seems to keep it going. Enfundo versus Marshy now. Zotal retires, but at this point, no more safety cars. It is pandemonium in the concluding laps. And Zotal, who would have gained an incredible amount of points if things had gone their way, finds himself completely out of the reckoning over here. And Max, Thiago, and Man Ray are your 3 protagonists for the race win. This is Marshy, but this is Billy Hendricks's viewpoint, less than 0.2 of a second behind the Haas, whose tires at 12 laps old are pretty much in dire straits relative to the other contenders. On the outside, oh, contact made between the Ferrari and the Haas over there, and Loveness is looking to take advantage. He's close, but not quite close enough. It is oh so tight between these midfield contenders, and I'll tell you what, we have to pay close attention as DRS is enabled between the contenders for the race win. Man Ray has been imperious in this race as the penultimate lap is begun by none other than Moteo Mekwa, aka Mex, who is having the time of his life here, having broken out of the DRS that Man Ray was hoping to take advantage of. On the inside goes Thiago Maestro and through up to P2. The McLaren superstar flying the papaya flag. Their teammate Debo is not in contention, not in attendance, nowhere to be seen here tonight. Meanwhile, the Ferraris are having a huge battle, almost going 3 wide, including Loveness over here. They made contact, they bang wheels down towards Cops Corner, and Loveness bangs wheels of the Ferrari again. Will the second one go through? The answer is no. The Loveness slams the door shut on the Sitch Figure of Speech over there, and some of those drivers have some time penalties. Debo Crocodile, Loveness, and Marshy, those drivers that have been penalized for track limit incursions. Loveness versus the Ferrari duo. Loveness is the meat in a Ferrari sandwich over here, and Loveness is trying, as is Billy Hendricks, trying to pile on the pressure. Oh, Billy Hendricks on the outside of Devo Crocodile. What a sensational move that was, and Billy is now up to P5, leaving Devo in the dust in the beginning of this final lap, and Loveness is out! Loveness is out! Loveness has crashed out before the beginning of the final lap. It's pandemonium, and Inquali will be in the points once again, and Loveness leaves the session in fury, leaving the session as Limisiwe Nobewu cheers on Billy Hendricks once again for a sensational overtake. Ferrari being cheered on in the comment section. Thiago is in the lead of this race in the final lap of this showcase. What an effort it has been from the McLaren superstar. Max huffed and he puffed and he tried to win this race seemingly, but might not have had enough. Or is Mex biding their time? There's a lot of track still to go. Through Cops Corner they go. Now into Maggots and Beckett. The McLaren is harvesting some power. There's a long straight before Stowe Corner after they slalom through these fast corners now, but it looks like Thiago had a cleaner exit through Maggots and Beckett. Thiago goes galloping down the straight. Here comes Max. That battery power has been depleted. Max with a last gasp hurrah with a Hail Mary into Stowe Corner, but he's not going to be close enough to get that move done. And Thiago Maestro, the heart is pounding through the chest as the McLaren superstar tries to keep it on track. Through the Vale chicane they go, through Club Corner, and it's Thiago Maestro who wins in Britain, and Max comes home in P2, and Fundo is on the podium, P3 for the Aston Martin superstar. Man Ray, well played, but not quite on the podium. Beautifully done for P4. Billy Hendricks and Six figure of speech come across the line, P5 and 6. The Nucho is 7th. Debo Crocodile is 8th. Marcy 9th. And in Quali, despite the struggles, comes home to claim the 10th and final podium spot. Let's go, Rari, says Let Me See You in the comment section. And Fundo, yo, says Kid K in the comment section as well. It has been breathless action, sensational stuff, and a memorable top step of the podium for Thiago Maestro. Congratulations. How does that feel? Well, I can certainly hear you. I'm just going to check in to make sure that the viewers can also hear you loud and clear. So please just do confirm that you can hear Thiago's voice. Gatsi says, what a race. Let us know if you can hear Thiago, please. But Thiago, number one, take us through the sprint race. It was challenging. You had to claw your way up in the feature race, the safety cars, of course. Of course, there was a huge gamble that you took going as long as you did in the feature race on the hard tires. Just take us through, number one, the sprint, and of course, the race itself.
Wasn't ideal on a mental platform, but I mean it's almost like how can you explain this? In business terms, supply and demand.
Yeah.
Yeah, demand when demand is at the highest, supply is at its lowest. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And what was that a deliberate gamble to stay out as long as you did? Were you hoping for that safety car? It did come in the end. Yeah. Beautifully done, and really, that fight towards the end was quite something. Really, as you were making your way before you even got to Mex. But Mex, we commiserate with you. It was close, but no cigar as far as the race win is concerned. But considering how you had to fight your way through the pack, take us through the sprint race, Mex, and then of course the race proper, and how you took full advantage, including of the safety cars.
Testing. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Please let us know in the chat if you can also hear Mex. But go ahead, Mex.
Okay, right. Sprint race. Honestly, I just really wanted to get through without any casualties, broken wings. I just wanted to get as far up the order as I could. I do not know what happened to Duke, but it seemed like he just disappeared. Um, but yeah, I managed to get around the midfield, a lot of bumper cars, trading of places, but yeah, I managed to get into the midfield and with the race. Um, I did see a lot of different strategies, and I was actually quite stressed that Thiago with the hards did that right call because I know you can go forever on
Yeah,
hards here, but I was just playing to the buzz. I think the softs at the end couldn't
yeah,
work, could have worked in my favor if the second safety car didn't come because I pulled a pretty good gap from the safety car restarts, and then yeah, the tires just didn't come back to me. Freaking
yeah.
safety
You
cars.
you really did, and you've been at the sharp end, pretty much towards fighting towards the front with the likes of Duke or whoever has been challenging on any given weekend. Did you have a sense of just how many drivers are pretty strong around here coming into this race?
I knew the Ferrari boys were quite quick here. Obviously, Thiago, pretty much Silverstone, a lot of people are fast. It's just also whether the risk you take racing them because it's also very easy to just affect
Yeah.
with yeah.
So So as far as the championship is concerned, after today, of course, with Duke not taking part, it's a beautiful potential gap that you can reestablish there. Hungary is next. I just want to hear your quick thoughts on that particular track and how you feel around there, Max.
Hungry for me historically is quite good. Historically is quite good. I don't think I've raced a lot of the boys in Hungary,
Yeah.
but next week.
Keen to see how it unfolds. And Fundo, last but not least, back on the podium after, of course, that sensational showing back in Australia. Congratulations, sir. Take us through number one, the sprint race. We saw a couple of issues, some coming together in the sprint race, but on the podium, that final stint, yeah, just take us through number one, the sprint, and how it turned out. Congratulations.
No, thanks. Yeah, so the sprint was a disaster, right? Just the guys were just going for it, and I think I got frustrated at some point, right? But I started coming back. I think I came ninth, eighth, and seventh, and then Max and Billy had a moment on. I think it was the second last corner. So Max had to lock up. Then I hit his rear, so I broke my wing. Yeah. So that was my sprint race. Pretty much a disaster.
And the feature race itself.
Yeah. There, honestly, I don't know. Maybe it's because of the podcast, that's been trending or something. But hey, man. I was just angry and just, wanted to prove a point so bad, man. And I was just sending the car, like pushing, locking up, trying to find time anywhere, everywhere. But luckily the setup that I chose just was working amazing.
Yeah.
And shout out to Mendre, I stole his joy right at the end, he was gunning for P3.
Yeah.
But I think I had good DRS coming out of the, what do you call those chicanes again in Great Britain?
Maggots and Beckett's?
Maggots and Beckett's, yes. So I just had a brilliant exit, and I think coming into the corner we were side by side, but I was on the inside, so I had an advantage. And yeah, but it was just one of my best races, honestly, because I came from the back, I think
Yeah.
14th or something. Yeah, so no, it worked out well.
Sensationally done. You seem to really enjoy the fast flowing circuits. Podium on the podium in Australia, podium here. Next up is Hungary. How are you feeling around there?
You know what? It's not one of my strengths. I'm not gonna lie to you, right? And I also have a problem with qualifying, so I just need to work on that because I think the qualifying place is gonna be important there. It's a very narrow track.
Yeah.
Not so many overtaking opportunities, because of the size of the track. It's like a go-kart track, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, you can try overtake on the straights, start finish straight, but that's about it, right? So I just need to work on my quali times. I don't know how, but yeah, it's not one of my favorites. And you're absolutely right when you say that. I like the fast flowing tracks. You saw in Australia, I had a bit of pace.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's where my strength lies. Yeah.
Oh, man, can't wait to see what that translates to around tracks like Belgium and also, I suppose, to an extent, Abu Dhabi and Miami in races to come. And Fundo, congratulations. Mex beautifully done on a podium
Thank you.
again. And Tiago Maestro on the top step. You gentlemen have been sensational entertainment. I'm pretty sure looking back on this showcase, you would definitely enjoy it. Thank you, gentlemen, and we will catch you next week, hopefully Central African time. And now, to everyone who's been tuned in, thank you for your comments. Thank you to, of course, Libby Seaway. Thank you to Gonse. Thank you to Sir Lancelot Offense, Kid K. Man Ray has also been here earlier on, and of course, Sir Lancelot. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and good night. And Man Ray, by the way, says, Mfundo, you are next. I don't know if that's a threat or anything. Man Ray, commiserations with you. It was a beautifully executed race. I'm sure you'll also enjoy watching that. Man Ray was one of the most fierce competitors at the sharp end of this race. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time. Man, good night.
Cheers.